What is good, YouTube? In today's video, I got y'all the top 7 meta loadouts you guys should be using. So if you enjoyed the video, let's break 200 likes. Make sure y'all subscribe, the notifications turned on, and let's get into it. So yeah, that's right. You heard me correct. A top 7 today, not a top 5. There's a lot of guns that are really viable, really usable, and definitely can be classified as meta. So I want to give you a few extra setups, or a couple extra setups. So first gun though today is going to be the Ladra SMG, one of my personal favorites to use. Really solid. So first thing, we're gonna go in here and actually I'm gonna use extended mag 1. The reason I like using extended mag 1 over extended mag 2 is I just feel like infinitely faster when I'm running around, and also because it gives me 55 rounds, it's not really like I'm missing out on anything, so to speak, because I mean obviously 66 is incredible, but 55 is still more than enough to compete with all the other SMGs. Like, I mean obviously the C9 was super meta for a while and it's got what, a 50 round mag, so 55 is still perfectly acceptable and you get peak mobility, so I really like that. Under barrel section, I always go in here and throw on the Ranger foregrip. You guys definitely should just be throwing this thing on there. No real reason to go for the vertical unless you really struggle overall with recoil control. I personally do not, so I will say that, you know, use what you have to, obviously what suits you best, but the Ranger or the vertical will be your two options in here. Barrel section, I want you guys to go ahead and use the long barrel. This is going to be the best thing in here because obviously it gets you out to 16.8 meters of damage range. I know the reinforced barrel goes down here and you get to 15 essentially, so not a big difference, but overall you really don't feel the bullet velocity at the range you are using the Ladra, or really any SMG for that matter, just because it's essentially hit scan at the ranges you are going to be using them. So there's no real reason to increase the bullet velocity when basically out past, you know, 16-17 meters, you're not going to be using this thing. Like, whip out your AR of choice. Now we're going back here, rear grip section. I'm going to still use the ergonomic grip here for this SMG. Really still been liking this. I've been using the quick draw grip on some other SMGs that feel like they just have a general slower ADS, but with this particular build, I was about to say specific and particular, but with this particular build, it feels just really good using the ergonomic grip. Lastly, in the stock section, two good options in here, one being the Infiltrator, which is going to be my go-to, and then the otherwise, I'd recommend using the balanced stock. You get a good amount of pros here. I still enjoy using the Infiltrator just a little bit more. I think that aim blocking movement speed is incredible. Absolutely love using that. And this right here is my full Ladra build. Get help unlocking Dark Matter, Abyss, and Nebula camos in Black Ops 6 with Mitch Cactus. They're absolutely the biggest and most reliable in Call of Duty right now. Whether you want something across multiplayer, zombies, or Warzone, they're completely legitimate for all platforms. They're super trusted by the community, and you may have seen them all over YouTube, and that's for good reason. They'll unlock all your camos, augments, and more without needing to lift a finger, with over 17,000 reviews and thousands of personalized vouchers. They're to go to for all things in Call of Duty. Use code CHUCK at checkout for 5% off. Next up is going to be a build here for the GPR 91. This is still one of, if not the best resurgence ARs to use, and of course I'll show you the other couple that are really good to use here as well. So you can run this a few different ways. So let's get into it. First thing, magazine, we're gonna go throw on extended mag 2. I'm not sure if they've technically patched this yet, but with the GPR and actually with some of the other guns, or just in general, they kind of like bugged rapid fire to the point where you don't actually get the damage drop off. It's kind of glitched in game. So if you're running the GPR as sniper support or close range, you throw on rapid fire, if it doesn't get patched, or if it's not patched by now, you technically would get some wicked fire rate increase with no damage drop off, like no damage decrease. It's pretty cool. So anyways, though, that's a little bit of a side note. Extended mag 2 is the move because we're building this out for a primary long range. After that, of course, the vertical foregrip. Barrel section, two good options in here, one being the gain twist barrel, which if you're going to be playing big map, you know, Verdansk, I'd probably recommend the gain twist. And if you're going to be playing Rebirth, I'd recommend the reinforced barrel. You don't necessarily need the extra bullet velocity that would otherwise make a much larger difference on Verdansk. I mean, you don't want to have 1,000 meter per second bullet velocity trying to take someone out across the map. That's going to be like you're literally shooting peas. The extra 200 is going to make quite a significant difference. I mean, as you can see, you know, up from base, that's a 45% increase versus a 20% increase. So definitely pretty marginal, and I'd recommend, you know, obviously, like I said, reinforced for Rebirth and the gain twist for Verdansk. Even if you want to use the gain twist on Rebirth, nothing against that. You can still do it and have success. I've done that personally plenty of times. Muzzle section, I'd recommend to go for the compensator here, not necessarily the mono suppressor. This is not one of those guns where the overall recoil of it is going to be very well suited to using a mono suppressor, unless you are going for, like, let's say an iron sight build and you want to throw in the recoil springs. Then at that point you can use the mono suppressor. But overall, I think if you're going to be using a sight on this gun, you definitely want to just go for the overall compensator, as that's going to make hitting your shots at distance significantly easier. Like, what's the point of having the extra range if you can't hit your shots on target in the first place, right? You know what I'm saying? So throw in the compensator. Now, optics section, this is where you can kind of go for a little bit of whatever you want. If you're playing, you know, let's say Rebirth, whatever, go for any of these red dots in here. My preference is going to be either the Dope Rich, if I'm pronouncing that right, don't really care, or the Volziski Reflex. I always like to go for basically one of these two if I'm going to be running a red dot sight. And then sometimes they go down here and I'll run the Jason Armory 2X or the Willis 3 times. I know other people like to go down here a little bit farther and run the RNK multi-zoom. Not my personal preference. I don't really care for that. I think it looks a little bit weird. I don't really like it, so I don't go for it. If I'm gonna use it 3 times, I'm just going for the Willis, or maybe I might go for the Jason Armory if I'm feeling a little bit wild. But otherwise, I'm playing Reaper, so I'm gonna go for the Volziski Reflex here, and then of course I'm gonna go customize the reticle over to this. And by the way, for any guys that are wondering about the camo, this is the in-game event camo, a part of the Nuketown event. So just to kind of address those questions. But this right here is the full build. Next up, I want to give you guys a build here for the MW3 Striker, as this is essentially the fastest TTK MW3 SMG in the game. So you guys can have a lot of fun with this and actually be very, very effective. So let's get in here and show you guys how to do it. First thing, as per usual, the magazine you guys want to go through on the 48 round mag. I know there is the 60 round drum down here. We don't need that. You can see all the extra cons right above my face cam they do happen to get with the 60 round drum versus the 48. You will feel those. It is very noticeable. And 48 on a SMG that doesn't have a ridiculously fast fire rate is perfectly okay. Like, this is more than acceptable. It could be a 45 or a 40 and still be fine. I'd still rather use that over a 60, or it could be like a 50, whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is much better. So just go and use that. After that underbarrel section, what I recommend here is if you guys want to go for it, the Jack Slash will be really, really solid for overall recoil control, getting you a little extra sprint speed, movement speed, stuff like that. So really good. Or if you want a bit of a faster ADS, what I recommend is basically go choose any of these stops in here, as they kind of made them do the exact same thing. So choose whatever you think looks visually the best. Personally, I'm going to go choose one of these stops in here. I'll just choose the XRK Edge because I've been really enjoying having a very fast ADS speed on my SMGs more recently, so I like having the XRK Edge on there. But like I said, the Jack Slash is still perfectly acceptable, and I've ran that plenty when using this gun. After that, we can just go in here to the muzzle section. We can skip the barrel, as it's not really that beneficial to go for a barrel. And what I'd recommend to do is go throw on the L4R flash hider. This increases your damage range and your firing aiming stability. Obviously, your damage range is not the absolute greatest right here, but don't worry, we will still fix that. But what is really solid is you can take a look at your damage profile. Basically, as long as you're hitting above the stomach, you're gonna have a wicked damage profile. And of course, if you're hitting a headshot, that's really going to hit unbelievably hard. So this is why it's got one of like the best TTKs, because as long as you hit some like chest or upper chest shots, you're essentially good to go and you're going to be absolutely deleting. So slap that bad boy on there, and of course it helps your firing aiming stability, which you need just a little bit, and it does pretty much what you need it to, and that's really about it. Now we're going to go back here to the stock section, and we're going to go down here and throw on the Lockman MK2 light stock. Out of all the stocks in here, this is just kind of the best all around for giving you, like, you know, good upside, and also not really screwing you in any capacity. Like, it's not really messing with your gun kit control or your aiming idle sway. It's really not doing anything. A lot of these other ones, like the no stock, great pros, but the cons are pretty abysmal. So I'd like to run that, but also like flinch resistance and recoil control and like having all those things, like it's just not that fun to use like that. So I'd recommend to go for the light stock. Now, to finish this thing off, we're going to go for the auto high grain rounds, just to increase our bullet velocity or damage range. Gets you out to 14.7 meters, makes you really effective, very easy to be able to use, and you guys can have an absolute blast using this thing. So honestly, this right here, really fun build. Next up is going to be the FFAR. This is an incredible AR to use, specifically on Resurgence. You can use it on a big map as well, but overall, I say it's better on Resurgence. Keeping this pretty standard though, we're gonna go throw on a magazine first, and that's gonna be Extended Mag 2. I really like this gun overall. It's actually one of my more favorite ARs to run. I just think the reload speed's really quick. The ADS speed's good. The bullet velocity is pretty solid. The damage profile is great. So like it's got pretty much everything that I need. Also, like I can control the recoil pretty easily. I know it's got some, but for me, it feels really solid, so I like it. Under barrel section, vertical foregrip, that's going to be my choice. I know some people like to try and use the G grip on this thing a little bit. I personally have like tested this out and I don't find it to be more effective. I think I used it maybe just a little bit, but overall I found the vertical was still better off of like what I was supposed to be using. So I think the vertical is way better anyways. Barrel section, you guys want to be using the reinforced barrel specifically if you're playing Rebirth. 54 meters of damage range is awesome sauce, and your bullet velocity basically being almost 1100 is pretty cool as well. I have used the gain twist barrel, but I don't know. I mean, haven't used this as much since the update, but it did feel like before the update it was not hitting as hard. And even when I have used this after update, because I was using it with one of the Nuketown gun variants, I felt like the reinforced barrel was hitting. So I don't have enough game time to test out that gain twist and say like, hey, go and use that. But if you're playing, you know, Rebirth, I'd recommend using the reinforced just basically anyways. And largely speaking for a big map, a lot of people like to go for the more bullet velocity based barrels. Muzzle section, you definitely want to go for the compensator. Makes a big difference. This gun's got recoil, you got to control it. I've ran builds with the mono suppressor, and believe me, people are like, oh my god, how do you even control that? It's like, believe me, I'm fighting the recoil every single engagement, and I'm having to pull down on that thing, and it's a little bit maybe more of a battle than I'd like, so I just go for the compensator now. Optic section, this is also pretty similar. I'm gonna go for the Volziski. This is not an AR, which I'm like, I want to throw 3 times on it. It's like, no, this is an AR that's actually quite good, even if you get caught in a close range situations. So I would prefer to have a Volziski reflex, or even sometimes a Kepler red dot. Like pretty much any of these red dots are going to be fine, but this is my go-to. Or like I said, maybe that dual bridge, something like that. So use whatever is your personal preference. But this is what I like. I think the sight's very clear. And of course, as per usual, I go throw on that blue dot, red dot, and that right there is the full build. Next up is going to be a build here for the Compact 92. This is an absolutely absurd SMG right now. It got a buff in that Season 5 Reloaded update, and it is a lot more like usable. It's got a crazy fast TTK. It's got better range, better recoil control. So like you're really in business when you're using this thing. Magazine, we go for extended mag 2, not extended mag 3. There are so many more cons. It feels like, you know, they're right below my face cam there, but it's a lot more of a downside to use that. It's like, you know, 12 and 19% versus, you know, 15 and 29% and 25%. So it is a marginal, you know, I'd say increase, whatever you want to look at in terms of penalties to go from extended mag 2 to 3. I'd recommend the extended mag 2. It just feels good. 50 rounds is still more than enough. Under barrel section, you guys want to go in here and use the Ranger foregrip. I know some people really like that vertical. Listen, I get it. You can definitely use the vertical. No shade against you if you want to go for it. Honestly, perfectly acceptable. But I like to be using the Ranger just because I want to make sure I got that overall, you know, obviously I'm getting that horizontal recoil control, but I like having extra sprinting movement speed. Barrel section, this is where people kind of go basically between 1 and 2 things. I'm personally going to go for the long barrel just to give me that maximum increase in my overall damage range, 15 meters. This was like up from about 13 or 13.2 previous to the update. So then, you know, further increase its fastest TTK range, which is awesome. But you can also go down here and use the integrated suppressor barrel, which gets you out to 14.4, which is, you know, honestly pretty identical, right? And you can also get that bullet velocity increase. It's a built-in suppressor. So integrated suppressor barrel versus long barrel, use what you want. You're not going to go wrong. You can run the exact same, you can run the build else, like you can run the build basically the exact same way no matter what. I was going to try and say something else there, but I was stumbling over words. So long barrel, integrated suppressor barrel, run what you want. I'll choose the integrated suppressor as that's probably what most people are going to go for. And then now we're going to go back here to the rear grip section. Honestly, with this particular SMG, I'm liking the quick draw grip. I've been really liking the ergonomic for a long time on different SMGs, but I started experimenting a little bit to get better ADS speed on some that I felt were just a little bit too slow. And this was one of those that I was like, you know what, I want to speed it up. And ever since I did that, I was like, this hits like a truck. As soon as you got that fast ADS speed, I mean, this thing is ridiculous. So I like that quite a bit. If you don't want to go for that, go for the ergonomic and you'll be a-okay. Now, lastly, we're gonna go to the fire mods and throw on the recoil springs, as I'm sure a lot of you guys were wondering how we were gonna control this thing. Recoil springs on essentially every SMG got a really nice buff, and this is no different. So makes all the difference in the world. It seriously feels night and day better than what it did previous to the update. So Slap this on there, and this will be a very controllable compact build. All right, for our last AR today, I want to show you guys the Kilo 141. This is essentially your #1 meta AR that you guys should be running, no matter if you are playing Rebirth, if you are playing Verdansk. I mean, this is like my go-to right now, because Kilo's got basically 0 recoil, really fast reload, 60 round mag. Like, it's got all the, I want to call it like the intangibles that you want from a meta AR. So let's get into it. First thing, of course, extended mag 2. We don't be going down here for the extended mag 3 nonsense. Too many cons, don't need it for an extra 10 rounds in the mag, not worth it. This right here does the job just fine. We don't need to go for extended mag 3. This is not like pre-patch Warzone 1, right? For, I'm sure some of you guys out there remember that, being able to run a pre-patch, you know, 80 or 100 round mag in Warzone 1 with no penalties. Well, this is not that. We're running extended mag 2. Underbarrel vertical foregrip here as per usual. Barrel section, I would say to go for the reinforced barrel. Doesn't even matter if you're playing big map. I'm not sure I'm saying big map. I should just call it Verdansk. But it doesn't even matter. Like, if you're playing Verdansk or you're playing Rebirth, you just want to go for the reinforced barrel, as this is perfectly acceptable. And what you want to run in your muzzle might change a little bit, but overall, the reinforced barrel is the move. Like, there's no reason not to run it. You can run the gain twist barrel and get a crazy fast bullet velocity, which will be fine actually for Verdansk. So that'd be the only other thing I'd suggest, is that you can give that a try. But largely speaking, you can run the reinforce and be a-okay. Muzzle section, this is where you can kind of switch a couple things around. You can run the compensator if you want literally like no recoil, as the Kilo is going to be kind of a straight up laser beam. Or if you don't mind a little recoil, a little extra range, mono suppressor. And then I'll show you guys kind of how to run this thing. So otherwise you throw on that mono. So compensator, I would say Rebirth, and then you can also run the mono suppressor. Mono would be better on overall Verdansk, but you can definitely run the compensator as well. So let's just slap the compensator on here, and I'll show you guys how to run this with the compensator, and then I'll go back and show you how to run it with the mono. Optic section, this is where I'd recommend basically using like a Volziski. And then something I also have done, which is pretty effective, is using something like a 3x, because when you got like virtually 0 recoil, it makes it very easy to stay on target at distance. So overall, this is a really good option. But if you're going to be using a compensator, just throw this on here. And like I'm telling you right now, this is an absolute heater. But then if you want to go down here, you can use the mono suppressor. This is still viable, but will have recoil. So if you want to minimize that a little bit more, go slap on like a 3x. You'll get the extra recoil gun kick here because of the sight. So that'll make hitting shots at range a little bit easier. And I mean, you can take a look at your stats here: 61 meters of effective damage range and 1,357 meters a second. And bullet velocity is pretty crazy. So honestly, a couple ways to run it. Everything's good. Last but not least, one of the top meta SMGs, if not the best SMG to use right now, primarily because of its overall damage profile. You can see, much like the Striker, it actually has a really, really solid damage profile for that. Basically, as long as you're hitting above the stomach, you know, chest, headshots, whatever, like, you're going to be deleting frying. So we can build this out to absolutely delete properly. Magazine, I want you guys to go for extended mag 2 on this thing. I have ran extended mag 1 if you want to be like a little bit more agile and mobile. Pretty cool, but I think 50 rounds is still better to have than 40. Underbarrel, I do see some people running that in vertical foregrip, because the downside to the Jackal is it's got kick, right? It's kind of like an AK where it's got a great damage profile, but obviously it's got some kick to it, and you got to be able to hit your shots with it. So some people like to go for the vertical. I personally like to go for the Ranger, and I think any of the recoil I get, even with this particular build, is perfectly acceptable, so that's fine. Barrel section, I'd recommend just go for the long barrel. I know the reinforced 15.6 versus 17.1, not much of a difference, but overall, I just think the long barrel feels more consistent, especially because I'm using it at essentially a hit scan range. It doesn't really matter. Rear grip, this is one of those guns where I'd say to go for that quick draw grip. I really like it. Honestly, I think it makes the gun feel very snappy, and it is honestly really, really solid. And lastly, in the fire mods, we're gonna go through on the recoil springs, as this does, like, it's doing the Lord's work, you know, when it comes to recoil control. So I mean, this is the move right here. So slap that bad boy on there, and that's gonna be your build. It's been my top 5. You guys enjoyed it. My top 5, top 7. Enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see you all next time.